Welcome to Trade School. My name is Torlando and I'm the CEO of Craftsman Painter. And in this video, we are going to talk about the sprint workflow. And it is a system designed to help you be profitable, to help you reduce stress in your life, and to produce jobs in a way that's best for your team and best for your customers. So let us get to it. It can be pretty hard to produce jobs in a reasonable amount of time. I talk to contractors all over across the country who are consistently struggling with the schedule. I remember one time I was at an event where we were having a roundtable discussion, and I said, "All right, how is everybody doing their scheduling?" And one guy just kind of took his hands and put it over his eyes like that and mimic throwing a dart. That's how it feels sometimes. It feels out of control. It feels like you're walking in blind. And for a lot of people who come into the paint trade, because there are so few strongly established companies, because there aren't many frameworks that are tailored to our industry, it'd be difficult for a lot of companies to run an organized operation. And what I see often is people will try different things from different gurus that are out there and different systems, and they read all these books and they kind of start to cobble things together to try to assemble some type of operating system for themselves, and it becomes pretty difficult to put together in a way that makes sense and meaningful. In fact, a lot of owners, what happens is they will, go out to a conference and they'll make, a small turn, but they make those turns every 2 weeks. Let's make an adjustment here. Let's tweak things here. Let's do something different here. And for their direct reports, the people who are working right under them, it's hard to keep up. And so every time the owner makes a quarter turn, that sends their direct report, their supervisors, into a half turn. And then the what ends up happening from there is that the workers on the ground do a full revolution, and that unfortunately sends the customers spinning out of control. And so, what really makes sense is that instead of going in so many different directions, having a completely scattered focus with what you're doing, it's important to have a one clear focus, one clear plan, the way that it works, and stick to it. You just have to adopt it. You just have to do it. And I promise you, when you guys adopt the system and implement it into the way that you run your business on a day-to-day business on a day-to-day, that things are going to change. Whether you are one of our independent affiliates, or you are a member of our Craftsman Painter and Designer community, this system is going to help you achieve a balance and equilibrium. I remember days where I was scrambling to try and figure things out. Sometimes you lose people on your team, and then responsibility gets heaped back onto you, and all of a sudden you're going here, you're going there, you're trying to figure things out. And I would find myself working late nights over the weekend, trying to do 5-10 bids, at 2 a.m. in the morning, waking up so I can get the crew ready. And I always had to be there, of course, to get the job moving along. And I was stressing myself out. I was neglecting my relationships, and I wasn't even making enough money. I wasn't making any money. All that hard work, not enough money. And so something had to give. Something had to change, and I had to figure out how to run this business in a way that was sustainable for me, from the standpoint of just having enough freedom and autonomy to be able to tend to the other things in my life. There's this thing called four burner theory, which basically says that we have four burners that we can have on at any point in the day, like a stovetop oven. And one of them is work, one of them is family, one of them is friends, and one of them is your health. And, imagine a gas stove. If you have all four of those burners going on at once, they emit kind of a low level heat. And so, what we'll do in order to give attention to one thing, we'll start turning burners off. And so we'll start turning that burner off and start neglecting our health, neglecting our sleep, not eating right. We're running through the fast food line to scarf down food in 3 minutes on our way to a bid. Our friends don't know we're alive, and then we start eating into family time. We're missing dinners. We're missing baseball games and basketball games. Um, you know, we're so focused on work. We've got all the heat going to the burner that's for work, that now all of our other pots have gone cold. And so we don't want that. We want balance in our lives. We want a little bit of freedom. We want time to be able to focus on the things that are important. And in order to do that, you have got to find some sense of balance in your life. And balance in your life, you know, as much as it starts with you and your personal life, recognizing that you are more than your work, recognizing that you have um, worth outside of how much money you're making, that you provide value, that's part of it. But then when we do look at work, we have to create a system and a culture and a community around us that is going to support us and lift us up. If we don't do those things, then we are going to find imbalance. Okay. So if we look at this chart right here, okay, there are three components to a business that matter. The first thing is having a good operating system. How does the business function? What are the things that you and your people have to do every day to put points on the board? But here's the deal: you could have the best operating system in the world, and you can find them sitting on the bookshelf of your library. Those operating systems are out there, they're free, you can read them. But if you don't have good people to run those systems, then they're just not going to happen. You got to have good people, otherwise, there's no system to run. And when it comes to cash flow and making money and getting money in on time, if you don't have all these three things, you've got a problem. And a lot of people struggle because they have one and not the other. And so, for example, you might be operating things. You might say to yourself, "Well, I've got a really good operating system. I've got tons of things that we do, ways that we do things, and the money is actually pretty good." But here's the thing: if you don't have good people associated with this, then you are going to find that you are struggling with a lack of purpose in your business. I know a lot of people who are making decent money, who have all the systems in place. They could run passively if they wanted to, and they are spending half of the year on vacation, running away from their business. They don't want to be there. They're finding ways to avoid their business by turning it passive. Well, what are you running from, right? That's not what we want. We want to be committed to our community. We want to find purpose and value in serving the people who are around us, serving our team. And so if you're bringing in people that are just bodies there to follow the system and the process, sure, maybe you're making money, maybe jobs are getting done on time, but you are disengaged from your job and from your business, and that's not a good place to be in, because you're going to get burned out easy. You're going to be you're going to have grass is greener syndrome. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. I've felt that. I've been through that, and what I realized is that sure, the grass was greener, but it was only because I was neglecting my lawn. Okay. I needed to water the lawn, and people are critically important to that. Bringing good people that you care about, that you have a vested interest in them succeeding in life and in improving, and you want to see them be connected to the purpose and the vision of what you're building and what you're creating. That's what I'm talking about here. Then I've seen people who they've got good people and the money is coming in, but they don't have good systems, which means that they are running themselves ragged. They've got no life. Their people are figuring things out as they go, and they are, struggling to make it work. But they're coming away with some wins and some successes only because everybody is putting in more hours. And here's the thing. Here's what happens when you have good people who are succeeding, but you don't have strong systems. What that means is you have bad boundaries. And if you are the leader and you are going in and you are working 13 hours a day, what you have are engaged followers. Okay. These engaged followers, they're looking at you, they believe in you, they're striving for you. And if you're working 13, they're working 15 because they're looking at you like the example. Okay. And so as a leader, you have to be careful about that. You have to put boundaries on life. You have to put parameters on work so that so that your burners are burning equally and you don't have one that's too hot. An operating system is going to help you put those boundaries in place. We always say this, at our stand-up meetings. We say, hey, if we aren't solving our problems between 8:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., and we're getting phone calls in the middle of the night, or we're getting late night emails, something is wrong in our process. We are doing something wrong, and we need to fix that, because we have to have boundaries in our lives. And the operating system is going to do that. Now, if you have good people, you've got a great operating system, but you have cash flow issues, well, it's clear that you got no money. We are not in business to be broke. And so figuring out this cash flow thing, making sure that we have money coming in and that it's coming in on time, people are able to cash their checks, and the business is able to run smoothly. It almost goes without saying, but that is critically important. When you have all three of these things in place, what you have is chi, a business chi. And chi is that life force that flows through everything, right? And so if you've got the elements of business chi in place, a strong operating system, good people, good cash flow, then the business is going to run smoothly. Your work is going to be fulfilling. You're going to grow and develop as a person, and you're going to be happy. And that's important, right? We work all day long. We come home to our family or to our friends or to our cats, and we and we want to decompress. We want to relax. We want to have me time. You want to relax, right? You want to have a good life. And if any of these things are out of balance in your work life, then you are going to feel a stress that you don't want to feel. And so, in this system, in the sprint system, which we are talking about here, this is that operating system component. This is the piece that is going to help you succeed on very nuts and bolts operational level. It's going to walk you through um, what to do from the beginning to the end of a job site. We have, you know, we've made the sale, we've we're we've turned it into a work order for our team. The team is processing the work, and we are cashing out. We're earning the money. In fact, the whole system looks a little bit like this. So we start with what we call our sprint backlog. And this is just a backlog of work orders and jobs that have information pertaining to the jobs that have been sold. Then we put together a meeting. We enter into a meeting where we plan out a 2 week sprint. We want to know what the jobs are like, all that kind of thing. And for 2 weeks, our crew should have uninterrupted work time so that they can just focus on getting the job done. And really, those of us that have more flexible schedules within the company, namely the salespeople and admin people, we really need to be working to help our painters be as productive as possible. If they leave that job site, if they don't have enough materials, that slows things down. We are not profitable unless paint is going up on the wall. You'll notice in this system that we'll have a daily stand-up meeting where we'll connect with each other via video to give an accounting of our day and what got done. And then we'll conclude the 2 weeks with another meeting. It's called a sprint review meeting, where we'll have kind of a review and retrospective and look at all the jobs that got done, and that produces the finished backlog. That's kind of an overview of the system. And so let's go ahead and take a look at each of these steps one by one, so that you have a clear picture and understanding of what goes into them. So the first thing is the sprint backlog. Okay. And this, when I say the word backlog, what I'm referring to is a backlog of work orders. So when a color designer goes out there and sells the job, they're going to collect a lot of information about that job. And they're going to put that information into a work order. Now, for us, we use we're a Google Workspace company, and so we utilize all of the tools that they offer to their fullest. And the calendar is the thing that is going to help us more than anything, stay on track of our jobs. In fact, we put all of our work orders in a calendar event. And so when you set up this calendar event, it's going to have the name of the job as the title. You're going to put in the start date and the end date. It'll have the address so that when our people pull up the calendar app on their phones, they can just click right on that address and it'll pull up the map and drive them straight to it. We want to have the customer's contact information, email, phone number, that all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to put in that work order. The work order is really just that bid proposal that you learned about in the proposal and price presentation video. We're going to upload that PDF directly to the calendar event as an attachment. That way the crew can see exactly what we are selling the customer, what down to the line item, what is getting painted, what is not getting painted. We also want to put in the production points, and we haven't quite gotten into production points yet, but suffice it to say the production points is just a measurement of how long this job is going to take. Then adding a video walkthrough link. So the video walkthrough, I'm gonna, jump on this for a second. The video walkthrough, the reason that this is important and the reason that we do it is because for a salesperson who is selling a lot, color designer, paint rep, whatever your position is in your company, estimator, in order for them to transfer the knowledge, all of that information, the best way to do this is to communicate it visually through video. We live in a world where we have these little camcorders in our pocket, these tiny computers in our pocket and we can record so much information that's valuable to our people. And so when I go through and I sell that job, I'm either going to do it once I sell the job, or maybe just even during the estimate if I'm really busy. But I'm going to record the scope of work, and as I'm going through the house and recording each room that's being done, I'm going to zoom in on areas that, where there's repair work needed. I'm going to talk about where we can save money, where we can save time. I'm going to talk about the expectations of the customer. What are we going to, what equipment are we going to need? Having a video and showing a vaulted, entrance will help your painters know what ladders to bring, rather than showing up and being surprised. A lot of companies out there, they part of the reason why their schedule is so insane is because they're not able to um, open up a new job without the person who sold it being there, or they have to transfer that information to a project manager, and then the project manager has to be there to walk the crew through the job. uh, that is insanely inefficient. And what we believe is that you want to pass the responsibility down to the lowest level possible, meaning that if somebody, and if an entry level person or a crew leader or whomever has enough wits about them, they have the capacity, they have the ability to do a walkthrough, which is insanely easy. All it comes down to is taking that work order and knocking on the person's door and saying, "Hey, I have a work order here. Can we do a walkthrough of it so that I can confirm the details?" And then they show them around the house. Why can't your customer do that directly with the crew leader? Why does the salesperson have to transfer that information to the project manager, and then the project manager has to show up and do that to the crew? Let's cut out some of that middle action there, and actually believe that we have capable people on our team. you know, at our company, we believe that everyone is a leader, even if they don't have direct reports. Okay, because it is possible to lead upwards. Okay, it is possible for an apprentice to have a moment where they teach the CEO, and the CEO is like, "My goodness, I never thought about that." Okay, you are a leader at every stage of this business, and you can take extra responsibility, especially when it moves the ball forward. So that video walkthrough is going to be instrumental, because it's going to show all the details. And again, we're utilizing the Google Workspace as much as possible. If you've got a company email, you got a YouTube account, and that means that you can upload those videos. Okay, mark them as unlisted so that they're not, you know, public and available and going viral. Somebody's private home going viral. Make sure that it's an unlisted video so that only people with a link can see it. But you pop that link into that calendar invitation, and now all of a sudden you've got the walkthrough. It's complete. Uh, when you finish that calendar invite, don't forget to invite who is going to be on that job. Okay. Again, in our company, we've got everybody has an email address, and they all have work email addresses. And so uh, just add their email to the invite so that they know where they're going. That's pretty, it's pretty straightforward. It's a little bit to do, but it's going to save everybody a lot of time, because you just don't have to run around looking, showing job sites to everybody. The person who's responsible for the backlog, for the sprint backlog in our system, is going to be the person who sold the job. Okay, for us, it's our color designers. They double as estimators and sales reps, and so they're responsible for maintaining the backlog. In fact, they're responsible for maintaining the relationship with the customer while they are on the waiting list. Depending on the time of year, the customer might be waiting, 6, 8 weeks, sometimes more, right? And so if they're going to wait for a long time, then that customer needs the assurance that we haven't just run off, with their money. They need that assurance. And so what we're going to do is uh, we're going to tell them that we're going to contact them every 2 weeks, and that we are going to keep them in the loop throughout this time. Now, when you move towards the planning meeting, which is the next step in the process, what we're going to focus on here is making sure that we're putting enough jobs on the calendar to match our revenue goals. We're going to schedule the revenue according to our production capacity, and we want to provide each crew with at least 2 weeks worth of jobs. The best way to do this is really by following our point system. Each level of painter has a specific number of points that they're able to produce in a single day. For example, let's take a journeyman who can do 11 points in a day, an apprentice, level 3 here, which can do 9 points in a day. Together, they could do about 20 points per day or 100 points per week. We see that at $40 a point and earning $20 per point, that they're going to be producing about $800 a day. And if they're earning $800 a day, then that means that over the course of a sprint, they should be producing $8,000. And then if we zoom out further and we look at the full year, then together they produced about $208,000 in that calendar year. And so when I say schedule the revenue, what I mean is that we have to figure out what our capacity is per painter, total that up so that we have an idea of how much money that we're going to be making on a regular basis. That helps us with our cash flow, and it helps us plan into the future. Every day that the crew works, make sure that you have a daily stand up. And this is a 15-minute call, and it is done via video. Again, we use Google Workspace to the max. So set that daily calendar invite for a 15-minute phone call. We like 4:15 for that time, just as the crew is kind of starting to wrap up their day. They can give an accounting of what got done, what's coming up next, and what blockers stand in our way. That time frame also gives us enough time, if there are blockers, to resolve it. Maybe we need more paint ordered. Maybe we need some supplies. Maybe we need a ladder delivered by the morning. That's going to give us enough time to take care of that. We have everybody join that call and give an accounting. Everybody is accountable on that call. Everybody answers the same question, apprentice all the way through to the CEO. We want to have that meeting. As your team grows, it's going to be hard to include every single person in that meeting, and you're going to have tricky situations where timing of it doesn't work. So it's okay to have multiple stand-up meetings and break it into groups. If you were to feed a group 2 medium pizzas, that's about how many people you want in that meeting. Otherwise, just split it out. So when the sprint is over, what we want to do is we want to come back together and have a sprint review meeting. Now, I actually tack this on to the beginning of the new sprint. So every Thursday morning, we have our sprint meeting. We hold it virtually, so everybody hops on either on their computer or their phone, and we have a review of the previous 2 weeks. And a lot of that time is dedicated to continuing our training. We offer two-way feedback. We want accountability up and accountability down, okay? Everybody is a first-class citizen at this meeting. We discuss how those projects went. You might highlight what ones were review-worthy, and then we identify things that we should start doing, stop doing, or continue doing as a team. It's so important to drop our egos in this meeting. It's so important to have open and clear communications. The production people are going to have feedback for the people providing the estimates. The estimate people, the color designers, the salespeople, they're going to have feedback for the crew, because often when things go wrong, the customer ends up talking to the sales rep, person who sold them the job. And even though we want to transfer that, that conversation over to the crew leader as much as possible as soon as that job begins, it's still going to happen. And so we need to stay on the same team. Okay. If the sales team and the production team start butting heads and they can't get it together, then then everything falls apart. Okay. You know, don't make each other the enemy. Be on the same team. Make anybody else the enemy. Blame blame the president. Blame the economy. Blame you know Ray Kroc. I don't care who you blame. Just don't blame each other. Be on each other's team. Okay. Um, Advocate for one another. Try to be helpful. Don't take things as an offense. Really try to be on each other's team during this meeting. Then once that meeting is done, we're going to make sure that all those jobs we're collecting revenue. As much as possible, try to schedule the jobs so that you are completing jobs by the end of the sprint. Every 2 weeks, we want to be done with all those jobs. There are going to be big jobs that last longer than 2 weeks. And in those times, you are going to have to have a conversation with that customer and uh, create a billing process, a midpoint billing. If it's going to go longer than 2 weeks, let's get progress payments, because what we don't want to have that squeeze on cash flow. And so as long as we're getting progress payments every 2 weeks, we're good. If it's going longer than a sprint, but as much as possible, let's try to get these jobs done within 2 weeks. You'll collect the money, you'll ask for reviews, and then you'll take the point total of everybody on the team, post those scores, see how we did as a team. Did we put enough points on the board? And then we move on. We move on to the next sprint, right? We start over with the planning, and the process goes. Process starts all over again. We keep going and going and going, and that's it. That's how it works. We do not deviate. This is the way we do things. They say that the fox knows many ways to attack the hedgehog, and the hedgehog knows one way to defend itself. And that's what this is for us. Sprint OS, learn it, memorize it, and live it.